Temptation is like a nosy friend, which is constantly tempt us to forget the responsibilities. At first it looks like like biting into a piece of chocolate in the middle of the night. But before realizing, we've devoured a jar full, finally feel guilty. Temptation has a sneaky way of getting into our lives, and often without us knowing, then quietly influence our habits and mindsets. Think about it. How many times have you said, just this once? But eventually, it just became a habit. Whether it's social media scrolling until midnight, postponed work, or tempted massive discounts, who ended up making an empty wallet? The problem isn't just that small act, but how this little act can be a detrimental pattern. Temptation has the ability to blur our focus of the things that really matter. When you give in to temptation too often, we may feel our lives are full of entertainment. But behind it, there is great potential wasted. Temptation is not just about wrong actions, but about what we sacrifice for trivial things. Time, energy, even our big dreams. So, don't let temptation be a pilot in your life. Control the controls, focus on the goal, and make temptation a reminder that you have the power to choose what's really worth. Have you feel like you've made a super solid decision, but a few hours later realized, why did I choose that? Well, that's where temptation works quietly. Many of us are unaware of temptation, especially one in the form of momentary pleasure, have a profound influence in shaping our lives. Imagine this: you're on a diet. Then there's delicious donuts with chocolate topping. Shiny smiles sweetly in front of you. Your brain instantly set off the dopamine alarm. You said, just one bite. But once the donuts are gone, you're starting to regret. Not because the donuts don't taste good. Of course, it's delicious, but because you know it goes against your purpose. That's the trap of temptation. Lures us with instant gratification that is actually empty. Our brains get fooled by the dopamine drive, make us feel great for a moment, but its effects don't last long. We get stuck in the same pattern, looking for a little fun, but forget about the big picture. Consciousness is the first step to getting out of this trap. Recognize that temptation has great power over our decisions. When you start to realize that instant happiness often comes at an expensive price, you will start to think twice before succumbing to the impulse of a moment. So whenever temptations arise, try asking yourself, does this actually make my life better? Or just satisfying the ego for a moment? We've all been there. Succumb to small temptations under the pretext, once in a while, it's okay. But what happened after? Usually, the pleasure is fleeting, replaced with feelings of guilt. Like eating a pack of chips, which you don't really need. But because it's on discount, finally went too far. Once the wrapper is empty, you can only think, why the hell can't I stand it? Following an uncontrollable lust often bring far greater consequences than we imagined. Our focus is so blurry. Long-term goals are forgotten. And time that should be spent on productive things, instead, it just disappeared. Like scroll Facebook until morning, make you tired. The next day so lazy. Work and eventually all assignments are delayed. which hurts even more. Regret always comes behind. Ah, if I didn't waste time on that. But life doesn't have a undo button. All we can do is learn from that regret and realize that every temptation we follow have a price. Is it time, energy, or opportunity that will not return? So, instead of continuing to regret impulsive decisions, let's start choosing wiser. Whenever there's a flirtation, remember that momentary gratification, often not worth the long-term regret. When in doubt, ask yourself, is this really worth what I sacrificed? Have you ever heard the saying, the most powerful man is not the one who can lift the heaviest weight, but who can control himself? Control that self like a hidden superpower that not everyone can realize, whereas this is the key to living a more meaningful life. Self-control doesn't mean you have to be an emotionless robot. Instead, it's about choosing the right response. Even when emotions are running high, or temptation continues to tease. For example, when your friends ask you to hang out late, when you know there's a deadline tomorrow. True power comes when you can say, "Sorry, I can't. Deadlines are more important." It sounds simple, but not everyone can. This power, it's not just about refraining from negative, but it also directs energy towards more productive. If you have a habit of impulsiveness, instead of suppressing the urge, try to use it for something useful. For example, the push to social media scroll can be replaced by reading a book or learn new skills. The bonus is, you will feel much more satisfied and proud. Remember, self-control is not about suppressing desires, but directing that desire to something that supports your purpose in life. So, whenever you feel shaky, try to think about this. Who is more in control of your life? Yourself, or some small temptation without merit? Overcome that temptation, like trying a diet in the middle of a food binge. Difficult, but that doesn't mean impossible. Trick is not to focus on not being tempted, but find healthier ways to deal with those urges. Because, if we just suppress the urge, usually even make stress, and eventually it exploded. So, how to do it? First, know how you feel. Temptations often arise not because you really need something, but out of emotion, like boredom, stress, or even fear of failure. If you realize what causes it, you can get over it more easily. For example, if you want to snack because of stress, maybe a little walk or drinking water could be a better solution. Second one, ask yourself, does this really help me become the best version of myself? This question is like a reminder alarm that makes you pause before giving up. If the answer is no, means it's a signal to look for other activity, which is more meaningful. The third one, replace bad habits with something more productive. For example, if you are often tempted to go to social media, try to switch by reading books, meditation, or light exercise. Positive activity does not only make you forget about temptation, but also make you feel more satisfied and proud. Remember, self-control doesn't have to be perfect. Do it slowly, one small step every day. And if you get flirted once in a while, it's okay. Importantly, you always try to get back on track. Temptation may come on, but with the right strategy, you can change it, so an opportunity to grow. Temptation often comes with great energy, like a sudden urge to eat popcorn, watch a favorite series, or have a midnight snack. But what if the energy was diverted? Two more productive things. Rather than constantly fighting the urge, why don't we use the energy to achieve something more meaningful? Try to think about this. The drive is like fuel. If you use it for something that's not important, must have run out on the road without a purpose. But if it's directed towards a clear goal, that fuel can to achieve your dreams. For example, when you are tempted to scroll social media, instead of holding back, use that time to write an eye, learn something, or light exercise. Result, you still follow the encouragement, but with much more positive results. Besides, use that boost as a signal. When you feel a strong desire for something, ask, what exactly do I need? If the urge comes from stress, maybe your body is telling you you need rest. If you show up out of boredom, it's a sign you need a new challenge. By understanding urges, you can lead it to more meaningful activities. Most importantly, don't forget that the energy emerging from that momentary impulse is a great opportunity. If you can control it, not only are you more productive, but also stronger mentally. So whenever the urge arises, don't consider it an enemy. Consider it an opportunity to build the best version of yourself. That life often feels like big game, and every decision we make are the little steps on the game board that. But how often do we actually pause for reflection? Because if you keep moving without thinking, we might even walk in the wrong direction. Or worse yet, spinning round in the same place. Self-reflection is like hitting the pause button in the middle of the game. Not to stop forever, but to check, I'm walking in the right direction or not. For example, when you feel like your life is full of impulsive habits, ask, is this what I really want? Reflection doesn't just make us aware, but it also helps see which ones are important and which ones are just wasting time. In reality, every moment wasted on petty could be a great lost opportunity. Like when you scroll through social media for 2 hours. Without realizing it, it's time you can spend studying, working out, or even chat with the people you love. But calm down. Reflection doesn't always have to be heavy. You're honest enough with yourself and ask whether I live according to purpose and the values I believe in. If the answer is not yet, it's not the end of the world. It was the beginning to correct the steps. The choice is yours. You can keep getting stuck in an instant gratification cycle, or start choosing a more meaningful life. So, let's take a moment. Look inside yourself and make a small decision today to be better than yesterday. If you ever feel trapped in a circle of temptation and regret, calm down, you're not alone. A lot of people feel the same. But the good news, there is hope. Life is not about how often you fall, but how often do you rise and keep going. Struggle for self-control is a long journey. But that doesn't mean you have to go it alone. You can start by finding support. Can be from friends, families, or communities with similar goals. Usually, just by chatting with people who understand your struggle is enough to give a new spirit. In addition, small steps are important. You don't have to be perfect overnight. Start with one simple action. Replace bad habits with positive activities. Or create little reminders to stay on track. For example, stick a note on the workbench and write, "I have a big goal, and I can achieve it." Remember also, change is not instant. There are hard days, and it's natural. But what's important? You keep learning from your mistakes and moving forward. Consider each challenge an exercise to strengthen your mental. Hope is always there, as long as you believe and keep trying. So take the first step today. Focus on the little things that you can change, and see how those little changes has long brought a big impact. You're stronger than you think, and your future is full of potential.